كيفك أستاذ؟
كيفك رست؟
جود، أنت كيفك؟
Good. So it is the last day.
Yes. Last day today.
وين الشباب؟
هلا قالوا إنه جايين.
هلا أستاذ.
هلا كيفك توماس؟
منيح، أنت كيفك؟
منيح. شو كان عندكم؟ أي تيست بالسكول؟
إنجليش.
ما عملتوا واحد بالسكول، كيف تعملوا واحد إنجليش؟
عملنا مرتين، ما بعرف ليه.
Okay, let's start. هاتوا هيكاز نايم. It is a good exercise, this one. We have in the figure, we have AD, DF, FL equal 2 centimeters. AB 1 centimeter, AE 2 centimeter, AC 1 centimeter, CE 1 centimeter. 1, 1, 1, 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters. We have a direct plane similitude that transforms A onto D as A onto D C onto F C onto F. So we have a direct plane similitude that transforms A onto B onto D C onto F. Part 1, determine the ratio. What will be the ratio?
PF equal KAC.
Okay, so here we say DF equal KAC. So K equal DF over AC. DF is 2. AC, how much AC? Where is C? DF over AC, how much is AC? 1. So DF over AC, this is C. DF over AC equal to. To calculate the angle.
That's a question.
Yes.
شو السؤال هون؟
To find the ratio, I have a direct plane similitude. A onto D, C onto F. I need to calculate the ratio. Okay. Okay, Haikaz.
Yes.
We say DF.
Yes, it is.
DF equal KAC, K equal DF over AC. DF is given 2. AC is given 1. 2 over 1 is 2. Alpha equals ACDF. ACDF. Instead of DF, I can put AD. It will be ACAD. It will be pi over 2. So ACDF. ACAD, which is pi over 2. Any questions about part 1? Part 2. Part 2. G is a point defined by DG equals AE. This is DG equals AE. How to show that S of B equal G? How to prove S of B equal G? How to prove that the similitude of B equal G? Yes, Shabir. Which point you use with B? How to prove S of B equal G? Come on, boys. So S of B equal G. This is I need to prove. So I take A onto D, B onto G. I use A هذا الجيفن A onto D و B onto G. لتكون true لازم تكون DG equal to AB. DG equals to AB. نطلع على الفيجر. Is DG is 2, AB is 1, so DG equal to AB. It is true. And the angle ABDG, instead of ABDG, I can put AE. So I get the angle ABDG. Instead of AB, I can put DA. DADG, which is pi over 2. So it is, therefore, S of B equal G. Any questions still now?
No, Ustaz.
Part B. How to prove that S of, how to find S of E. How to find S of C, S of E. I can use, what is C in this figure? What we can say about C? C is the midpoint of AE. So S of C will be the midpoint of S of AE. C is the midpoint of AE. S of C is the midpoint of S of AE. S of C is called S of C he F. S of C is equal F is the midpoint of S of AE. S of C is F, given. S of C is F is the midpoint of S of AE. F is the midpoint of what in the figure? F is the midpoint of what?
DL.
DL. F is the midpoint of DL. F is the midpoint of DL. So F is the midpoint of DL. So S of E equals L. Similitude conserves midpoint. So C is the midpoint of AE. S of C is the midpoint of S of AE. S of C is given. F is the midpoint of S of AE. F is the midpoint of DL. A, the image of A is D, so the image of E will be L. So S of E equals L. Now, part 3. Let H and K be the respective midpoints of BE H is the midpoint of BE and GL. F and K are the respective midpoints of BE and GL. The lines AH and DK intersect at I. And the line EH and DG intersect at O. Prove that S of H equal K. How to prove S of H equal K, Haikaz? Hey, Haikaz. How to prove S of H equal K? H is the midpoint of a what?
Of BE. نقول S of H
Yeah.
middle forces.
Okay, so we say H is the midpoint of VE. Then S of H is the midpoint of S of BE. So S of H is the midpoint of GL, but K is the midpoint of GL. So S of H equals K. Now to prove that S of D equals O, I take it A with D and D with O. لتكون هذه true لازم تكون DO equal to AD, DO equal to AD, and the angle ADDO is pi over 2. نجي بنقول since S of A equals D و S of H equal K, since S of A equals D و S of H equal K, then angle AHDK is 90 لأنه الألفا هي pi over 2 implies AH perpendicular لDK and ADDO and ADDO is pi over 2. It is verified. Now, angle DAO هذه 90. Not ADO, this one.
هون شو عم تقول؟
بدي برهن هون
كيف؟
هايكاز بدي برهن انه الايمج اوف دي is O.
بس بعرف السؤال، بس شو عمل التنجنت؟
بعد ما عملت شيء بعد بدي برهن انه I need to prove that the length, I need to prove that DO equal to AD. I need to prove DO over AD equals 2. I need to prove that DO over AD equals 2. DO over AD, DO over AD equal 2. I take a tangent ADO, مش DAO, tangent ADO. Tangent ADO equal I tangent this angle. Tangent AOD. DO over DA. شو بتساوي التانجنت؟ Opposite over adjacent. This angle, what is the opposite? Okay, DAO, this angle, مظبوط, it is DAO.
بالآخر DAO.
لحظة شوي. Oh, not correct. DAO. Tangent DAO, tangent DAO, tangent DAO equal DO على DA, DO على DA equal tangent DAO. Tangent this angle. هذه الانجل هون. This angle here. DA على DO equal tangent ABE. هاي الانجل equal هاي الانجل. This angle equal that angle equal to tangent ABE. Yes?
Vertically opposite angles.
No, هيدي وهيدي. هاي this angle and that angle here.
Yes.
This angle and that angle. Tangent this angle equal opposite على adjacent, which is 2. So S of D equals O. So verify that now. Verify that I is the center. How to show I is the center? I is the intersection point between which lines? So I say I equals AH intersection DK. I equals AH intersection DK. And I proved these lines are perpendicular. So S of I equal S of AH intersection of S of DK. S of AH equal DK, S of AH, S of DK is AH. So we get I. So I is the center of S. Let R be a rotation. R be a rotation with center B, angle pi over 2. J is the intersection point of BG and AE. BG, you join BG and AE, they intersect at a point I. They intersect at a point J. What is the nature of S round R, Shabab? What is the nature of S round R? What is the nature of a composite of a rotation and a similitude? الS معنى إياها I 2 pi over 2. Round rotation, center J, ratio 1 rotation and pi over 2. شو بيطلع الكومبوزيت بين ال 2؟ بيطلع معنا similitude of center I don't know, ratio 2 and angle pi, so we have a negative dilation with ratio -2. So S round R equals S I center ratio 2 pi over 2 rotation B pi over 2. I call it W center ratio 2 angle pi over 2 pi over 2. So we get a similitude with center W, ratio 2 and angle pi. So we call it a negative dilation with ratio -2. So S round R is a negative dilation with center W and ratio -2.
Just best 1 minute.
Okay, 2 minutes.
استاذ لما بيصير باي الفا يعني dilation مو
Negative, yes, negative dilation.
كل مرة نيجاتيف
Yes. Is
لما
an angle pi negative dilation.
امتى بوزيتيف؟
إذا ما طلعش إذا الانجل زيرو.
angle 0 positive dilation, angle pi negative. Persisted.
Now prove that J is the center of R of S round R. How to prove that J is the center? How to prove that J is the center? To prove J is the center, let's take S round R of B. S round R of B. S round R of B بتساوي S into rotation of B. Rotation of B is B. Since B is the center of R, it is invariant. And S of B, we proved it is equal G. S of B is equal G. So S round R, H of B equal G. S round R is H. معناتها WG equal minus 2WB. WG equal minus 2WB. WG minus نحن عندنا بالتريانجل BDG و BAC. These two triangles are similar. These triangles are similar. BA over AD, BA over AD equal half. So BJ على GG على GJ equal half. Then J, I have the here WG minus WB, but GC equal minus 2GB. GC, JC بالفكر
جي مكتوب استاذ هونيك.
JG. Yes, JG equal minus 2JB. Then J is the center. JG equal minus 2JB. Then J is the center.
استاذ minus 2 لأنه الريشيو minus 2.
Yes. Give the complex form of S and deduce the affix of I. How to find the complex form of S? Z prime equal AZ plus B. A equal KEI alpha 2EI pi over 2. Ratio is 2 with angle pi over 2. It will become 2 into cosine pi over 2 plus I sine pi over 2
استاذ ريشيو مو
equal
minus
2
2 ولا هي تبع H.
هذيك تبع ال H، هي تبع ال S. Z prime equal 2IZ plus B. But S of A equal D. أنا عندي system ABAC. ABAC. AD is minus 2. A is 0. So I have S of A equal D. So ZD equal 2IZA plus B. Minus 2 equal 2I into 0. ZA is 0 plus BB equal minus 2. Z prime equal 2iz minus 2. To determine the affix of the center, zi is given by the rule zi equals b over 1 minus a minus 2 over 1 minus 2i multiplying by the conjugate or by using the calculator, we get zi minus 2 over 5 minus 4 over 5i. Done, Haikaz?
Done, sis.
Determine the affix of O. How to determine the affix of O? O is the image of which point? S of D equal O. S of D equals O. To find the affix of O, we say we need to find S of D. S of O. S of D equal O, not 0, this one. S of D equal O. In ZO equal 2IZD minus 2. ZD is minus 2. We get ZO equal minus 2 minus 4i. Compare IO and IA vector. IO vector and IA vector. بجيب ال coordinates لل IO vector and IA vector and I compare between them. IO vector is XO minus XI. We get minus 2 plus 2 over 5 equal minus 8 over 5. YO minus YI minus 4 plus 4 over 5, we get minus 16 over 5. IA vector is 2 over 5. A is 0. ZA minus ZI تطلع 2 over 5. Y minus YA minus YI 4 over 5. We notice that IO equal minus 4 IA vector. IO vector equal minus 4 IA vector.
هذا C.
The last part, C. The last
The
part,
last part of the
C.
year says.
Yes?
Huh? The last part of the year.
Yes. M is a variable point such that Zm equal x plus 2, 1 minus xi, and M prime is the image of M, S of M. Determine Zm prime and deduce that M prime moves on a line to be determined. Determine Zm prime. Zm prime, نحن كانت معنا relation 2iz Z prime equal 2iz minus 2. So Zm prime equal 2i Zm minus 2. Expand 2ix minus 4 plus 4x minus 2 equal minus 6 plus 4x plus 2ix. This is Zm prime. To determine the set of M prime, I say this is X prime. X prime equal minus 6 plus 4x. This is Y prime. Y prime equal to X means X equals Y prime over 2. I substitute its value here. We get X prime equal minus 6 plus 4 into Y prime over 2. So X prime equal minus 6 plus 2y prime, or I can put x prime minus 2y prime plus 6 equal to 0, means M prime moves on a line of equation or x minus 2y plus 6 equal to 0.
أود لا x square plus y square نقول circle.
Circle. Okay, this is all for this year. Study well. مش
أيوة.
بس-
ماشي
Don't
كتير.
say you have
ايوه استاذ حبيبي.
don't say you have a lot of time, so you have to study. هذا السنة
يا
الإكزام
استاذ اكيد.
exams راح يكونوا simple official exams, so it is a chance.
Yes.
ده ان شاء الله.
If you have
ماشي
anything,
كتير أستاذ لهي كل
welcome. If you have anything, you can ask, okay, later.
Okay.
What's up?
استاذ.
يلا, bye bye.
يلا باي أستاذ.
باي استاذ. ثانك يو.
See you.
Merci.
Welcome.
باي باي.
Bye bye.